living things. They fall into two categories, inorganic and what? Organic. Inorganic means that they don't contain something. What don't they contain? They don't contain carbon. Organic means that they are based on carbon. And what carbon provides to organic compounds is the structure. So they give structure like a carbon chain or a carbon ring or something. They'll provide structure. The most abundant compound in your body, is it organic or inorganic?
Organic.
It's inorganic, actually, water. Right? So it's a misconception that organic doesn't mean living and inorganic non-living. It means carbon and no carbon. There are a lot of things that are not relevant to living things at all that are organic compounds, plastic and things like that, but there are many that are. So with inorganic, I guess an understanding of water is kind of what's important there, at least from the standpoint it is the most common compound. It provides the environment within which all other chemistry takes place in the body. So all of our chemistry that occurs inside of our cells and outside of our cells takes place in water. So water is kind of important in that regard. It's also kind of nice for us because water has a high specific heat. You know what that means? It means it takes a lot of energy to change the temperature of water. And the relevance for us is that that's stability, right? Temperatures can change quite a bit, but still remain relatively constant because it's stable. It's also a really, really good solvent. That means more things are soluble in water than any other solvent known. So water is sometimes called a universal solvent because of that. So that means in our cells, lots of things are soluble. So it's good. It's a good compound, and we'll see it. We'll talk about water a lot. Organic compounds. There are numerous organic compounds that are important for living things, obviously based upon carbon, but the majority of them fall into four classes of compounds that are called biomolecules. Okay, and in particular, these four classes are called macromolecules. Macro just means what? It just means big. And so they are what? Lipids, carbohydrates, I heard somebody say protein, and what's the last one going to be?
Nucleic acids.
Nucleic acids. And why are these important? Well, lipids are used for long-term energy storage. Lipids are also used as hormones, steroids, chemical messengers.
Insulation.
Insulation, we use it for insulation. Yeah, protection. Fat is used for protection. So lipids have a role. Carbohydrates, short-term energy storage. In a human, that would be as glucose or particularly glycogen. So we would store carbohydrates as glycogen. We also use carbohydrates as signal molecules on the surface of cell membranes. So for example, you've heard of people having type A blood and type B blood. Well, what's different about that is a particular sugar that's present on the cell surface of those erythrocytes. So it gets used for that. Proteins, if I had to say what provides the most function for the body, it would be proteins. There are an unbelievably large amount of proteins, and we're going to spend a good bit of time talking about how proteins interact with other molecules, and they provide a lot of function for the body. And then nucleic acids, for the most part, are going to be, and proteins, yeah, they're proteins. The nucleic acids, for the most part, are going to be genetic information. Deoxyribonucleic acid, that's DNA. Ribonucleic acid, RNA. Both of those provide genetic material. But ATP, that compound that we looked at a little bit ago with regard to energy, is also a nucleic acid, okay, adenosine triphosphate. There. So these are the large molecules. Now, they're all based on carbon. And carbon, as I mentioned before, provides the backbone for any of these compounds that we're looking at here. Right? So carbon's going to provide the backbone. What gives different carbon-containing compounds functional characteristics is what's attached to the carbon. So the carbon doesn't really do anything except provide the structure. The function for any compound is going to be provided by groups attached to carbon, so we call them functional groups. We can break them down into different categories. Here's a carbonyl group. Now look at what a carbonyl group is. It's a carbon, double bound to an oxygen, internal within a particular ring.